Greetings and welcome to another edition of Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I'm glad that you could arrive for this appointment. I'm so happy today that I have another guest who is an expat, someone who is exploring the vastness of the world we live in and not confining themselves to one little geographical place. Jaleel-Hu is a Moorish American national born in Lenapehoking, also known as the corporate state of New Jersey Republic, with roots tied to his Arawakan Tribe in the geographical territory of what is known today as Trinidad and Tobago Corporation. He is an entrepreneur, an educator of commerce and trade, a community organizer, a fashion show producer, director, and an apparel fashion designer. Jaleel has domiciled abroad for over 9 years at the People's Republic of China, more specifically, Shanghai territory. He is fluent in English, Moorish Latin or Spanish as it's called, and Mandarin Chinese. He can read, write, and negotiate great deals with the Chinese. He is also the co-founder of the Moorish American Alliance, a pillar for Moorish knowledge in the East, with Diami Ali Bey at Shanghai to support Moors who are ready to build the nation with the 5 principles of life. At his time at China, he managed to successfully organize an industry that supported the Moors, both being Moorish Americans and Alkebalans. Jaleel held networking and business events at 9 different cities within the Chinese jurisdiction. He has also organized, produced, and directed 4 major fashion shows displaying Moorish arts and culture to the Chinese population. Jaleel successfully managed to raise the global image of Moors, especially the Africans, Alkebalans, at the People's Republic of China territory. His work did not go unnoticed. Jaleel was awarded Community Event of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year, represented by Pride of Africa in Beijing. Before Jaleel was exposed to Moorish science, his first platform, Shanghai Black Fashion Week, became very popular, not just at China, but also at 4 other continents, including North and South America, Europe, and Africa. I'm not going to go any further. I just want to bring this brother on, and I am so glad to have you here, Brother Jaleel. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. And I'm excited about what you have to share with the viewers and listeners, not only tonight, but those who'll be listening to the replay, because we have so many misconceptions about, places such as where you domicile. And so, to find out that it's not necessarily impossible for a Moor to go abroad and be successful. It's good to have a living, breathing example. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G.
Woo! Thank you so much for being on the show. I've been a big fan ever since I heard about your great work that you put out there. I feel privileged, and I want to thank you for your hard work. Doesn't go unnoticed, especially out in China. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Listen, how does a Moor end up in China? I mean, what is the motivation that would take you from, a Mexican to China and to really, like I said, a couple questions. Did you speak, read, and write Mandarin before you got there?
Oh, wow. Usually that's the question I get. No, I didn't. I had no idea the language. I did know one thing, that the Chinese had money at that time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I was looking at my pockets. I was like, I need to get some of that. And so I decided just to make that move. I was actually working at banks at the time. I was at U.S. Bank in California, Khalifa, if you will. Mm-hmm. And had some interaction with the Asian community, more specific with the Chinese, and I couldn't penetrate. I couldn't get in. So I said, you know what? I got a reason to leave. It's the Great Depression in 2008 at that time. Let me just go and I just took that a leap of faith, and just went.
So you just went. You didn't have. Did you have contacts already domiciling in China, or you just, like you said, it was a leap of faith? So did you just go on a whim and say, I'm going and I'm going to either make it or break it? Or
Well, my story is I'm used to traveling. I guess it's in us because we hear about Moors that were traveling, and I started out in Lenapehoking in New Jersey Republic, and then I traveled down to Shakamak for high school, went out to college in Ohio, and then ended up in Khalifa. And so I was already used to moving, and so I figured, what's another location? Because every time, it doesn't matter if it's English or Chinese or Spanish, everything's brand new. The people, the relationship, the customs, the styles. So I was like, let me just go. My friend was like, why China though? And I was like, uh, why not? So I went out there. Actually bought a one-way ticket. I sold everything. It took me about 6 months just to undo the contracts. Like, I didn't realize how deep I was in until I was ready to leave. The cell phone bills, rental contracts, car notes, and all of that. So it took me 6 months just to prepare, and I was trying to study Chinese and Rosetta Stone, but that was a disaster. I strongly don't recommend that. But then I was like, I went and I wrote down in a book some like go-to phrases, like where's the bathroom? I'm allergic to eggs. Where can I sleep? Where's the hotel? How do I go right? And if you are studying the language, it's three-dimensional. You have the characters that most people don't understand, which is basically pictures. Then you have pinyin, which is the transliteration of the characters into alphabetical Romanic terms. And then there is the actual tones. So they're like singing. So I had left out the tones. So I was trying to read it, and I did my research. It said, taxi cab drivers can speak English. I'm like, good, check. I can go ahead and get a hostel. Okay, check. Soon as I land, none of that was true. Everything I read online was a lie. I didn't speak for 3 days trying to navigate and find my hotel, but I made it, and that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
so when you did you initially move into a hostel? Were there hostels there, and can you tell, for those who don't know, what a hostel is? Because some people are like, is that something that's negative? But
So I knew that I was on a budget. So and I knew that I didn't want to overspend based on my budget. So I looked for a more budget size place living where you would have travelers that often go backpacking. If you heard that term, they would stay, rent a room, maybe share a room with some other people, and they sleep for the night and they go. So my thinking was the same way. Let me get into a hostel, nothing long-term commitment, and kind of feel the lay of the land before I actually decide to stay, because I only had a 2-month visa, and I needed to figure out how to stay after the 2 months. Now, with a one-way ticket, I have a tourist visa, and I'm trying to figure out how to stay. And if you know anything about traveling abroad, they're very particular about visas, just like you hear about the illegal immigrants and how they deport you. So I was under pressure to make sure that I can actually articulate that I'm resourceful in China in order to stay beyond the 2 months.
so what did you do?
At
How
that
did you?
time, I taught English. I was like, okay, that's the easiest thing to do. I
Uh,
speak English, and I was able to network. And I've met another Moor who's from Chicago. Chicago, it means Chicago, which is smelly onions. And
that's what it means.
yeah, yeah, Chicago, Shikwaa. And if you research Chicago, you will see that in the statutes and codes of Illinois, specifically Chicago, it is illegal to pluck it. Smelly onions, which is really interesting when you do some research. So
Learn something new every day.
yeah,
So you met a fellow expat
yeah.
from Chicago.
And he was telling me he hated. I'm getting out of here. I hate this place. I'm like, man, I just arrived. Like, you telling me this? Did I make the wrong move? So he was just extremely angry, and I was just grateful because at the time that I was looking for a work, I was being told that because you're black, you'll never work in the city. I chose Shanghai, which is the richest city of Asia. And when you do the math and the research at the time when I was researching, I found out that there's 187,000 millionaires in Shanghai alone, was a population about 30 million people residing in that city. So I knew that doing a financial background, for me to get paid more money than other cities like in South China, I need to work in the city, even though the value of a dollar versus what is called RMB, renminbi, or yuan, it's 7 to 1 now. So I would have to work so much harder just for $1. And I knew I didn't want to get cheapen my labor going to a smaller city or not an industrialist city. So I had to figure out how to stay there despite the people telling me you're black and you need to go where the Africans are in South China.
So in South China, you're saying is a place where many who have come over from the continent reside. Is there a large population there? Because I this is the first I'm ever hearing that that there are a lot of Africans in China.
Well, it is historically they have a tie between what's the name of the country? Tanzania. Tanzania and China have a very good relationship because the Chinese had built a railroad in Tanzania. And so ever since then, in the 1970s, they've been partner up, which is not part of the global politics or global news in terms of providing support. So there was, because of that, lots and lots of Africans, Al-Qaeda decided to engage with the Chinese in that area for two reasons. The first one is economic reason, which is the free trade zone area. And free trade means no tax. So they can export or they can import in this area to spur up economic growth between whatever two countries and China. And so the Africans took advantage of that. The second reason why, which I'm pretty sure more Moors would understand, is it's warm down there. It's a lot warmer. It's like going to Texas. It's just as vast as continental U.S. When you go to the south, you don't have to worry about the freezing cold. So a lot of people just easily gravitated to South China.
So, but China in as a whole has the seasonal weather patterns, say, that we have over here. I mean, the winter, spring. I mean, they get snow and all that stuff.
Just like America, just like here. So you have the Northeast, it's kind of like Boston and Connecticut, and you have the Northwest, it's like Seattle. It might be a little bit different in the Northwest because they have desert in the Northwest, which is very interesting.
Deserts in China or deserts here?
Yeah. Okay. When I did they I don't know, there used to be a desert here, right? If we do the math, back in old America.
I mean, there right now. I mean, there are, I think, places that they consider deserts where there's no, tumbleweeds. Again, oh no, deserts are just sand, right?
Right.
Is that what we're talking about? Okay, where it's all turned to a thing. I don't know. Before I say something that's not true, I do not know.
Okay, but
Right.
So when I went to when I was a judge for a beauty pageant in Northwest China, I went out there. They had the models take photos in the desert, and it felt like you were in the Sahara Desert out in China. And I'm thinking like, wow, I never knew this. So so it gets really, really hot and really, really cold in the Northwest, and then you go to the Southwest, you would have similar like San Diego, Los Angeles temperatures. So it's very vast in terms of temperature and population and land.
Now, how about urbanization? I mean, or not modernization. You see the pictures, and just like you see of Africa, most of the time, what we see in mainstream media imagery of other places is the worst of these pictures. With people struggling and babies with distended bellies, or people eating rice, squatting down eating rice. Not that they don't do that, because I think some things are customary, but my understanding is that China in some ways is a lot more technologically advanced than maybe we are over here, especially because they get to get their hands on so much technology?
Yes and no. We always got to account for the population. There's almost 2 billion people, so they have one of everything. Everything, any possible habitat, any possible economic condition, any type of job. There is somebody who is extremely rich, like Jack Ma, who created Alibaba, and then you have people who are still extremely poor, just like you see homeless people on the street here.
Okay.
So the disparity in income is so vast because it's still a on some parts of China a developing country. But when you get into they have about 7 tiers of cities: tier one, tier two, tier three, tier four, all the way to tier seven. Now, I personally never been to tier seven, and I won't go. That's when you're dealing with sanitary issues or plumbing problems, or you don't know where you can. The drinking the water is not safe. But then you have places like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen. Beijing is where the capital is, where the political house of obviously China. Shanghai is the economic center for financial center, and Shenzhen is known for the technology. So they're carbon copied Silicon Valley. So depending on where those economic drivers go, which most of the people who are called migrates, they migrate to that particular large city. You will see rich and poor in the same city. You will see the Ritz Carlton, Bentley, and then across the street you see a beggar with no legs who's being pushed over, and he got a cup. But speaking about technical advance, they will have a barcode for you to collect some fiat, which is really interesting.
What do you mean a barcode? I mean, like say on a cell phone, or
Yeah.
you have to
So
use it.
recently in the news, you hear Trump about banning TikTok and WeChat. So
Mhm.
if you know of the apps called WhatsApp, or you might today I've learned coming back here about Cash App, or Zelle. It's similar, but they've combined a WhatsApp, a Facebook, an Instagram all in one, and it's called WeChat. And so when you look at that, it's also a banking center. So you can buy things with WeChat, trade money on WeChat, you can tell a story on WeChat, and you can communicate. Then they also have something called Alipay, which stems from Alibaba, and Alibaba is basically a name for a conglomerate company like Amazon, and they have created within their own parent company different services that people can use for different reasons. Be it you're setting up events, you're trading big crypto, not cryptocurrency yet, but stocks, or you might be having a payroll, or you just might be communicating with your team off of their platform. So they're like two major organizations competing with each other, but they dominate the entire country.
Well, from a standpoint of that kind of communication going forth in China, I guess the impression that I've gotten, this is my personal impression, is that China is very sort of big brother-ish when it comes to monitoring the activities of its citizens. Is that, it's sort of like the epicenter of they live, big brothers watching you because of the way tech. I even understand that there are stores that you, and I don't know whether you told me this or somebody told me this, that you can actually like use your phone or something to go, and there's no human attendant in there, but you
Mhm.
can go in and you can purchase things and then leave with it, and you may never have interacted with a human. Is that true, or is that kind of,
Ye-
I may
Yes.
have seen it on YouTube. I don't know where I saw that.
Yes, I didn't tell you that, but that is absolutely true. So there's two folds because you hear in the Constitution about freedom, and if you give up for more security, they would have to be in your business. So people don't know that China, the People's Republic of China, is not the same thing as China Republic. So let's first divide that. So you
Okay.
have the People's Republic of China is a political body that runs the people, the Chinese people. They are the ones who speak for the people on behalf of the world. So when we are doing business with them in their capacity, the people who are obviously still ignorant don't know what it's like to not live in socialism. They are living a socialist society with capitalist attributes. What does that mean? It means that whenever they need to shut down the city like they did in Wuhan, where we had the coronavirus, and I'm pretty sure many people are curious about what happened, um, they were able to do that because they had control of everything and control of people. So people really don't have freedom on that level. However, it's extremely safe, quote unquote, where I've seen someone, a 16-year-old girl who might be coming from lessons about 11 p.m. at night. She's walking the street with no problem because there's like on one traffic traffic light you see 12 cameras. 12. You might see three this way, three that way, because there's scooters and there's cars. They'll be able to monitor everything, and they're really watching everything, especially in those big cities. So when it comes to the Chinese people, they always say, I'm safe, because they see the news that we show a lot of violence and riots. It works vice versa too. China looks like it's big brotherish, but it depends on how you do business and who you're doing business with. I have been, when I was at China, and currently I'm at Lenapehoking in the state of Republic of New Jersey. I've always, most of the time, operated under the grid, because I knew I didn't want myself monitored. I would have a scooter where you cover my face when you're driving through the lights, or I might have a mask on, just because I just don't want to be so obvious of being watched, because I don't like being watched that much. But on the flip side, if you had a situation where, which they do all the time, they would try to lie on you, which I've had incidents where I was able to use the same computers to prove my innocence and show that they're guilty. It's like it's a push and pull depending on where you stand and how much money you actually have.
Right. So it depends on what side of the infraction you're on.
Yeah. So
Rather,
yeah, it's like if you're broke in China, it's terrible to be in China. Like I strongly don't recommend you coming to China with no money. But if you have money, it's like the best thing, because then you don't become the sheep, the masses. You are the puppet, and you can basically pull strings, and you will get so many things done. Which when I came into that realization, Chinese obviously has helped. It was like so much easier to even operate in China. And at the same time, I was able to see myself, or my former self, when I was here, and how I used to operate and trying to get out of the barrel and trying to make a name for myself. I was able to now understand the economic system and the political structure of who I am in society. Because when I look at China, they don't talk about racism, because obviously all the same. They will talk about classism. So people are always trying to marry up or do business with outsiders because they need ideas, or they're trying to figure out how they can be very competitive with the next Chinese person. And most people don't understand that Chinese people don't see you in their world. They see you as a doorway to the next step to compete against the other Chinese nationals. So they're not against anybody. They're more competitive and more fierce amongst themselves. And if you study the Chinese Constitution, in the preamble, it says that they have got rid of privatization due to the exploitation of each other. So they brought in socialism. So there's enough shared resources for political government for that works for these people. So in a republic doesn't work there based on 1.8 billion people. We have 330 million people. There's plenty. Over there, they just left in the 70s where they had coupon food and didn't have enough food. So they had to fight each other to survive. And that is still within them.
I heard, and this is probably was a blow to anyone who's pet lovers, but I heard that China had made a law that everybody who had a dog had to give the dog up, like, because that's, and is that true? I heard that they
No,
were. I heard that just recently. Now you've been over here for a few months. Did you may perhaps miss that? And the assumption was that they were going to be ground up for, or rounded up and used for food. Is that, I'm
no.
just saying it was on a news
Let me tell you
reel.
why. Let me tell you why. So I'm still connected in social media on WeChat to some of my friends, and I have friends that actually sell dogs or sell foods to dogs. So they're still in business. When it comes to pets have been known to being stolen. Like you see cats and dogs being stolen all the time, and there was at one point in Southwest China where they would um, cook them, eat dogs, just like how we would here eat chicken and cows. That was their meal of the day for certain people. So there is something of everything, but each city is operating its own government, like its own territory. So you
Mm-hmm.
have Shanghai, it's kind of like how we look at DC, it's operating with its own district. Then you have provinces, which is what we would call territory. So if you look at Northwest territories or the provinces of Northwest, because their economic base was manufacturing, or whether they do tires or they're doing anything with cars, auto production, the way they would operate within the socialist society, whether it's pets, they have way more pets in the Northeast because that's just how it is there. When you look at Beijing itself, they're more stringent just because it's a political city. So there's a lot of what you cannot do, and they're very sensitive to the words they use because they've been backlashed by the Western European hybrids all the time. Then you have in the South this stray cats and dogs everywhere. So it really depends on who is propagating the news and their intent. But if it comes in English, then you got to believe it's already been tainted by English. You would have to get the news in Chinese, and then you would really hear what the government wants to say. But the truth really is you have to sit in a Chinese house resident and have the parents and the child talk to you one on one, where they know this is not leaving the house. So there's so much lies that will get to us out here that they just say that to distract you on the real issue.
So as far as when you were speaking of the PRC, the people, People's Republic of China versus the Republic of China, is that what, or what's
Yeah,
the other?
yeah.
Yeah, the PRC. Does I understand that overseeing that there's a lot of foreign business interests in China
Mhm.
running China, and the reason why, to me it made sense because when this thing happened, and I'm trying to be dance around it, don't want to be, dinged, but when this thing happened, every place it appears that was able to be shut down
Mhm.
had to have some common ties. There had to be there's some places that didn't. Every place in the world did not shut down. There are islands where people don't even know about a CV, if you do, if you
Mhm.
will. And they have their life is going on because they don't know and they
Yeah,
haven't heard it. So they
yeah.
haven't been able to be tainted by the gloom and doom predictions and the ever increasing statistics, even though it's going down, going up numbers that they don't have the knowledge of that, and because they don't know it, they are not if therefore not affected by that. But
Mhm.
in terms of every place that when the word came, shut down, shut down, shut down, says to me, and I don't know
Mhm.
how you look at it, that there has to be a common thread that runs between those particular countries or nation states or whatever they are in order for them to take who gave the order. So if the United States says shut down the world, then why would they do it except that the fact that the United States is a corporation that is
Mhm.
got that has other ties to it as opposed to just a country, which is a
Mhm.
maxim. So
Yeah.
any place that was able to be given that order to shut down and shut down, would you say that there would be a common thread that goes? I always look at the octopus, the head of the
Mhm.
octopus, and then the tentacles. So I don't know where the head is way up, and, but the tentacles are far reaching. And would China fall into the PRC, fall under maybe that type of influence?
Absolutely. People don't know that the PRC is in bed with the United States in terms of trade. So just to push and pull what you see with the U.S. corporate president Donald Trump, he's manipulating the Chinese to play into what he wants simply because we are the customers. And you know what they always say, the customer is always right. So the Chinese had banked on the U.S. consumers purchasing power in order for them to live that lifestyle. So when the Chinese said, when the U.S. corporation says no, they are inadvertently affected. So it's kind of like they're all in bed at the same with each other. But there are some people in China that they're not plugged in. There's a term called Hey Ren, and Hey means black, Ren means people. So black people. When you transliterate that information, it means illegal people. So this is way before you even talk about us. This term Hey Ren is there, and it talks about people who are not registered within the PRC. They still live at China. They are not connected with the public schools or not connected with the financial system, and they still use the fiat to operate, especially the farmers. A lot of farmers have no idea what's going on just because they're not in tune with that lifestyle, the economic driver, unless they are operating on platforms like Alibaba and they're trying to get money through online. So there is, like I said, a little bit of everything, but the ultimate power still lies within the maxim, and the whole world lives off of this space. We just don't talk about it, and I think we're doing a disservice not talking to the rest of the world about who we are and the power we have, and we're just sitting there taking it and complaining when we can be very productive and go to them and actually be assertive in our national affairs.
Well, would you say that that's part of what you're doing, part of your mission? That since you've been, I know it wasn't the reason why you went to China, but since you've spent, what, 8 years or so there, would you say that that has become part of your mission to do that, to let them know who we are, to bridge, to build a bridge of communication and trade and um, respect, mutual respect. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I look at it as when I first went out there, I was thinking as an individual, and that's what they teach in the indoctrination of the European schools is just think individualism, and that's the best way to divide our people. So I always was losing whenever I would, let's say, meet an opponent that was Chinese if I'm doing business, and so I had to get rid of that right away in order to survive. So it's all about group mentality and nationalistic perspective, and you would see them in their language say we Chinese people, woman Zhongguoren. They'll say we Chinese people. I never hear I Chinese people. They say always we. And the foreigners would be like, why are you always saying we? So when we actually, when I was going through my struggles, I had to think about how to survive in on that particular landmass. And I realized that I can't be Chinese and I shouldn't be Chinese. I need to be me. I need to be
you
American.
shouldn't have to be anyone other than who you are anyway.
Well, of course, but it's easier said when when you get in, you're trying to make some friends, you're trying to fill in. You're not trying to offend anybody because that's the worst thing you're doing when you don't know the place. You're trying to respect the culture. So it took me a while to learn the language and then learn the culture. It took me a year to learn the language, and then it took me about 2 to 3 years to learn the culture, and then it took me another 3 years to master the culture. So by the time I got to the point where I was reaching out to people that looked like me, I started to say, man, if they can have a Chinatown in our country, at the time I was thinking, why can't we have a black town or chocolate city? So it started with that, and a lot of people started to think the same way. It's just no one was willing to put the money up to say, all right, let's do it. So I organized the first event in 2016, and this was just a conversation like, let's see if we can buy from each other. And what's funny, in Shanghai, you would see the French community, the Russian community, the Korean community, the Italian community, the Spanish community, the Canadian community, the Mexican community. You would see everything else except the Americans. Even the hybrids that live here are separate. And we would be at mercy to them being exploited just because we're separate. So I was like, oh, heck no. Let me call my peoples and trying to get some stuff because at the time I couldn't get oils, stuff for my hair, because they weren't manufacturing products for us at China. They were manufacturing to send it out. And people don't know that manufacturers make products for export only, and then they make products for domestic use. And domestic use, the demand was obviously Chinese. So when people say, "Can you get me those Nikes or Jordans? Can you hook me up?" So I would go to the store, and I would use European terms. I wear a size 11 and a half, so and that's like 46. So I'm going to the store, and every store I go to is a 45, 45. I'm like, man, oh, I'm in China. I can't get stuff for me, and that's simply because there was no representation at China. So I just when I started this, it became really popular, and that's when I started going on my tour from Shanghai to Beijing and other cities alike around the country. And that's when I started to reach out, and it's similar. But it was still a disadvantage because the majority of the people that were there were the Alkebulites, the Africans, and they were most of them were two. They held two type of roles: either they were a student for a bachelor's degree, master's degree, or PhD, or they were an exporter. They were in trade. Anything else, you wouldn't really see them. So I couldn't connect on that level because I wasn't a student and I wasn't an exporter at the time. But they was still likened to the idea that we were congregating, coming together. And that's when I started to have traction because then people started to buy into, okay, black people, all right, all right. And then that's when I found the love into fashion, and that's where we started to make a difference on China.
Now, let me just let me just clarify something. When you first went to China, you
Hmm.
said that you were not aware of your Moorish nationality and
Nope,
birthright. Okay,
nope.
and so and that's why when if you were trying to get the black movement or the black respect and all that. Where did since you've been so this would have happened, your awakening and your knowledge would have been in the last somewhere in the last 8 years. How did that come about, one might ask?
That's funny.
'Cause
So
you were in China.
yeah, so I was sought after, and I mean, I got extremely popular based on my production and work I've done with fashion. So there was a brother that was actually, he was, I would say, at China, well, same amount of time as I have. And most of the people that were in tune with the knowledge, got a little bit of it, was like, you got to talk to Jaleel, you got to talk to Jaleel. And so when I was done with my last project, and that was in 2018 to end, I said, okay, I'll listen. So I got into this social media group, and then it was just all this arrogance coming out there. I'm like, for me, I was like, you can talk all that talk. If you don't got any results, then this is a waste of my time. So I decided to take it a serious look at it, and it made some sense. Like, why the hell am I call myself black? But it came by way of everybody knew who I was and was like, you need to get this information. And from there, that's when I met other brothers like Daimi Ali Bey and other brothers in China who live it all over the country. And it was a good thing. So I have to say that I stumbled upon it only because I was being active and productive. So people saw me as a way that I can push the movement of the Moorish information across China.
And so and that you have done. How let's back up a little bit. So you were not involved in fashion prior to coming to China, or going to China rather. How did you get involved in fashion? Because you're really in it. I've seen the pictures of the shows, and you all that. So how did you get from banking in a Maxim to fashion shows and designing and producing in People's Republic of China?
Oh wow! So when I was trying to come out to China, I was looking at jobs, and the way I've realized that banking jobs were not available for foreigners. So I had no skill set to offer other than English at the time. So I had to start all over, which is fine. Um, so when I got there and I was teaching English, I didn't like the way they would treat us. I felt like a sheep, a lamb. You just go and work, and they will outwork us, and they didn't really have a certain amount of respect for that kind of people who work at China. So then I took an interest of what I did before I went to China and California. I was doing fashion. I did one fashion show in Santa Monica, and I was like, you know what? I like pretty girls. No, I like fashion. Let me go check this out. So I started working out, And because I'm tall, and people don't know how tall I am if you never met me, I'm 6'3". And so I started working out, and I started being extremely fit. And so I was chased down by one person who owned a modeling agency. So at the time when I was dating someone, I was in a magazine and I was just posing for Valentine's Day. And then he kind of found me at a Starbucks and was like, "Hey, would you like the model?" I was like, all right, why not? Why not give it a shot? So that in turn got me into the industry just to look at it from as a worker. Then it shifted from modeling into I was doing videography and hosting and kind of like a show that would teach people about what's inside the fashion world at China. So I was inside filming and taking photos of Shanghai Fashion Week. I volunteered for about 2 years. And that's when I was meeting all kinds of designers, models, photographers, makeup artists, kind of getting an understanding of the lay of the land. And then I started to realize it was the same thing every year. So for me, I lost interest in going to the same thing where everybody's hyped up about going to a fashion show. And this is the time Shanghai Fashion Week was growing slowly more popular because it just started. I think it was started in 2008, and I got more involved around 2014. And they were looking for outside ideas so the Chinese can copy so they can grow. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we do a Shanghai Black Fashion Week? I know some people. I can find some people who want to be designers, at least starting. And I assembled a team. We had a person that was a bespoke designer. And then I worked with other people who wanted to help out just because they liked the fashion scene. But I did most of the work. I sourced the location. I found the models. I had model casting in different cities. I was negotiating the contracts. I was figuring out how to set up the lights, find the advertisements, do all of this work. It was really worth it. We had 12 designers, and then from there, that's when the media comes in because I was already involved with advertising in general. So I already had a lot of people that was in the marketing field. And then we had the show, and I didn't expect it to be as big as it was because all the foreign media outlets was talking about it. And then we had people in London talking about it. Then after the show, I even had someone from Washington, D.C. that was a part of CCTV, an extension of them in D.C. They came out and wanted a little clip. Then my designers in Shanghai Black Fashion Week got written about in 4 different countries on the African continent. Then I got invited for a TED Talk. It just blew up. I was like, man, because nobody has ever did this. I'm like, all this time, people being here, and nobody decided to put something together on this land. Like, I felt like I'm a colonist. Like, I'm about to take over, So it was very impactful because the expectation was so low that they didn't even think that we can be valuable into their society. And then the journey changed, and that's when I started being very productive in the fashion. This is crazy. I think the best part of the experience is I was able to meet Chinese people that wanted to be a part of our world. So people would twerk. Yeah. Do you know Chinese people twerk? They have twerking classes. They're copying like crazy. It's anything that we do, there's somebody copying us. And our people don't know that when you try to show off your talents, if it's not in writing and you're just showing off, that's intellectual property. Somebody's making money off of it, and you don't even know.
Right. I'm looking at some of the comments, and and I'm gonna bring Jasir Bay. He says that you're only telling a bit of truth, that he was out there, and one of the brothers that was giving you amongst large groups of Moors unconscious about nationality. I don't know. And then
yeah, of course. I'm not. I have people that I've worked with, and they're not going to get noticed. Just so simple.
Yeah, because he mentions Sharif Nine Feathers Bay and some other people. I mean, I don't think you're trying to not. I mean, I think I'm giving you're trying to answer my questions, and you're not going to give me a whole laundry list of every every individual that may have been, but basically the question was, you didn't know until somebody who was already there told you, or somebody's, and you said you were in groups, you
Absolutely.
met up with many
Absolutely.
people. So, brother,
Absolutely.
I want to say to the brother, I mean, don't feel like you've been slighted. And I don't know how many times I've probably said something to someone that has been significant along their journey, but you never know what part you play in the journey. You may be watering something that's already planted, and maybe not. And so I'm never one to, I don't want credit for anything, because I tell people all the time, I'm not a teacher, but I am a reminder. And when I say reminder, meaning if anything, I'm gonna remind you of something that you forgot. It's in your DNA or your cellular memory. But whatever I do, I'm not the one. I'm not going to try to take credit for, or do I need to take credit for everything? But I'm pretty sure that you weren't trying to slight anyone.
This is a credit. The credit should go to Noble Jew Ali. That's who should get the credit. It's
Yeah.
not neither one of us. This information been out for 100 years. And at that point, if anybody's trying to take credit of somebody that's valid right now, I think they need to give it back to Noble Jew Ali. Because at the end of the day, he's the prophet. And that's who I can give my credit to. Everybody else, their journey.
Right. Someone is asking where Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey is. He was here last Friday, and this is Office Hours with Dr. G. For those of you who know, my show is varied. I may have someone on talking about being Moorish one week and one not talking about it, but always talking about something, of interest and so forth. And I know with regard to you starting with fashion and so forth, that has been a springboard for other import opportunities and so forth, and what you're trying to do with Moorish, say right here in Amexum, to get those designers, those creators of various products and services. I know we talked about it, and you've been able to make connections for people. I mean, I consider myself a connector in a different way, only because I'm like Grand Central Station when it comes to people calling me, because they always, if they're not trying to get Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, they're trying to ask me about nationality or something. So hence, being the founder of House of Reawakening Minds and the secretary of House of Reawakening Minds, the chief cook and bottle washer for House of Reawakening Minds, and the one that answers the phone. So I get to talk to a lot of people. And as such, like for instance, I had a brother that I've known for a minute now, a couple of years, call me from Texas Republic, and he really drives commercially for a living. That's what he does. So and one of the things that happened to him during the course of him doing his paperwork and reading stuff and thinking he was supposed to do this, is that he sent his commercial, his CDL back to I guess Texas. Said, I don't need this, only to find out, yes, he did. And he was going to continue to drive. So while I'm talking to him, this has happened months ago, but he just happened to call me today. While I'm talking to him, a private call comes in, private number, and it's a sister on the phone. The sister, who I'd never spoken for before, is a truck driver based in Arizona territory. And she's asking questions about, I want to get my own, rig, but I'm out on the road like most of the year, and I want to know what. I said, you know what, sis? I'm talking to a brother that's a driver right now. I have him on hold, and he has experienced this stuff from a standpoint of being, a Moorish American and a CDL holder of a CDL. Can I connect you to? And so I was able to. I mean, they were both on the phone at the same time. You know what I mean? And I'm always having the opportunity to say, hey, so-and-so, you should meet so-and-so, because I just talked to somebody and they, just like you, and I want you to talk about this, how you were able to help, Sister Jamila, and, because, stuff like that, but connecting. So, and that's one of the things we did want to talk about to those that are listening, that there are opportunities to connect with China, because there are people out here, I'm sure, that have businesses and services, and what you've been doing in your own campaign to bridge the gap is to change the mindsets, or the, I don't know, say if it's a mindset, but the if you have an imagery of a certain image, an impression of a people, and you lump everybody in together,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a stereotype, I believe, and you're trying to change those stereotypes with regard to what we bring to the table, the value that we bring to the table. So can you talk a bit about what you're doing in that regard? Because there might be someone who's listening, or might be listening to the replay, says, hey, I got this product, or so I'd like to get this over there, I'd like to get my service, my product, over in China, or
Okay.
is China the only place that creates anything?
Right. Okay. So it's a very comprehensive statement you gave there, and I'm also going to respond to the brother that spoke.
Okay.
So at China, most of my production that I've done was in black status. I have
Right.
yet to begin to do anything at China with the Moorish brand. I've been advertising because I did a 180, and everybody that was following me, a lot of people stopped following me when I started to say more. Because what it did was it changed the roles in people's light when they would be viewed based on my work. I did 4 shows, and I uplifted a specific group under a banner. And then to say I'm no longer this, I had to start all over, which I was fine. It made a lot of sense. So in order for me to be discovered by anybody to give me this information, I had to be recognized at least at that level. And I did this because I was focusing on 2 things. One is community organization, and the second is the economic base that will keep us at whole. And so when people look at fashion or any industry as a whole, there's a process, and it's called a distribution process. So I'm going to share my screen here so people can actually see um, one of my slides that I would give, and so they can actually see what I want to show. Here we go. Can you see this in retail industrial supply chain?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So what I'm involved with, what I've learned through the process of doing fashion is distribution. And when people think distribution, unfortunately, they've been thinking about narcotics and anything obviously illegal when it comes to our people. So I'm changing that narrative and having our people exposed to products that are developed in China. And because everybody knows that most of the products that are here at Amexim are made at China. So if you ask anybody up in China, have they able to facilitate a process of distribution? The answer would probably no if it comes to our people. They might do 1 or 2 pieces, but as far as the community, the answer is no, and that's what I'm looking to establish. So the examples that I've already established was big shout outs to Jamila. Jamila owns a brand called How to Mama. I'm not sure if you can see this. How to Mama.
I'll have to go back to, let me go back to this for just a minute. Okay. Yep.
How to Mama. And this is an amazing product that I've already started using. This is for hair growth serum. So definitely give her a shout out. We are also selling her product on our website at moorspring.com. But let me go back to the slide, if you will. So what we were able to do, because she was basically selling the consumer, and her position was a bit of the supplier, and it came all the way down to the retailer, the factory distributor and wholesaler. She was missing this gap. She creates her own liquid, which is inside the bottle, but the entire process requires the bottle itself and the label and all that good stuff. I was able to help her with the bottle cost because the bottles are a significant cost. People go to Amazon, they can try to resell it, but when they don't realize Amazon is already at the wholesaler position, I was able to put her at the factory position. When it's made, go straight to her that she can cut out the cost and at least be able to either make more money or be able to contribute into somebody else's bottom line that might be also using these services. So big shout outs to her with doing that. So if anyone understands, you can bring it back to me. If anyone understands distribution in itself, it requires many hands. And when you think individually, it's hard to get the entire chain done. And every product that most of our people are buying touches the hybrid hand before it touches us. So when you work with me and my pals at China, you'll be able to access not only products at China, but I negotiate and go to the factories, and my team also give you the best price for that product. Then you would only have to just pay shipping, and by the time you get the product, you'll save yourself at least 50%, at least, depending on your requirements. But I also want to add too that we have to expand our mind when it comes to products. We can't be focused on a cookie cut product that they would show to us and think that we're limited by that. What I mean by that. So let's use another product. There's a let me see what's another product I got on. I'm always getting products. So like for example, I have this flag here. This was manufactured in China. If those who know what this flag is, I hope you do. If not, you can ask Dr. G. She'll tell you later. So this here was not in existence in production at Amexum. So I was looking all over the place for this flag. We have this one here, but to get this one here, I had to design the flag by finding the flag, improve the good quality. Then I had to tell the manufacturer what size I wanted. Maybe I want this to be 2 inches longer. Maybe I want it to be 2 inches wider. That was my choice. And if you look at this piece here, maybe I want it to be shorter or half. This is the way I want you to think whenever you're actually doing manufacturing, because the choice is up to you on how you want the consumer to appreciate your product. Same thing could be with the lip of this, or it can be the top, or you can maybe, instead of blue, this can be green, this can be brown. It's really up to you. So that's just one part. The second part is you have to get used to buying in bulk. You know, there's Costco's. That's not what I mean by bulk. I mean, you're looking at a pallet, which you have all these boxes, and you can assume to place these products in a position like a warehouse or in your house, and then you don't have to wait 10 years for delivery in order to sell your product. Our people are impatient. Our people are starting to grow with some patience. I always explain, if you wanted to get it from China, there is two ways. The Alibaba way, which they already have a contracted deal with the U.S. corporation, so they have their own jets, they have their own plane, they even have their own tarmac, where they have their own where they house all the airplanes. So because they're doing billions of dollars of deal, we can't compete at that level. Just working with them, and we still lose because we're still at the end of the product. So what I'm able to do, at least save you some money when it comes to the middleman, where you become the middleman, and then you can resell it not only to us, you can resell it to the Chinese, the Koreans, the Japanese, every other foreigner, as long as your product is good quality, which means that it goes back into the drawing board. What purpose does your product serve? How does it compete with other products on the marketplace? If you're going to compete, like everybody sells T-shirts in the summertime, I've seen so many T-shirts sell. Like no one wants to sell socks. Why not? You know, why are we selling the same thing? Is it because that's what we have exposure to? So we can provide that. You can connect with myself or Diami Ali Bey, and we will start to facilitate those means, because not only you create jobs for yourself and income and for your community, but you also help the Moorish Americans at China. And so the brother that actually wanted credit for showing me the actual the Moorish knowledge, I'd love to work with him when it comes to helping our people find factories that will meet the bottom line prices so we can compete as a nation. That's something that most of the people are not focused on an economic base. And if you can switch to this slide, I have a slide here. I don't know if you can see it. Noble Drali, can you see that photo?
I think we have the same one. Let me I think we have the same one.
All right.
And take the other one out.
Let me take this one out. Let me do another one. Okay, so I have this photo here. Can you see it now?
Let me see. Yes.
Okay, for those who look at it, we're gonna make it bigger. So this is
actually,
what.
See the right. Yeah, the words.
I'll read it. So you can see. So it said, in connection with our religious aims and belief, and this is, I got to give a shout out to Picola L. She found this in the spirit of me talking economics with other people, and I was able to pass it on to Kali, who's up in Flat River Place in Connecticut. Big shout out to him too. We did a mock trial with him as well. He's an amazing brother. But anyway, back to this. In connection with our religious aims and beliefs, we must promote economic security. The preaching of economic security among us is by no means as widespread and intensive as the circumstances demand. No other one thing is more needed among us at this time than greater economic power, better positions for our men and women, more business employment for our boys and girls, and bigger income will follow our economic security. We shall be secure in nothing until we have economic power. A beggar people cannot develop the highest in them, nor can they attain to a genuine enjoyment of the spiritualities of life. Our men and women and children should be taught to believe in the capacity of our group to succeed in business, in spite of trials, and failures of some of them. Trials and failures in business are by no means connected to any particular group of people. Some business ventures of all people fail. We have many men and women among our people who are qualified both at training and experience, who are shining lights in the business world of all the people. This is by Prophet Noble Drew Ali in a section of an article in the Moorish literature known as Moorish Leaders Historical. So what does that mean? Everybody's talking about astrology, spirituality. I don't hear enough people talking about economics. And so I specialize in economics, and I know people don't know just based on your language that you speak. And then we talk about the liabilities, but we don't talk about the asset. We don't talk about the accumulation of assets. We kind of do. Where's my gold and silver? You talk about it all the time. Big shout out to, make sure you get her silver from Dr. J. You got to get it. Show her some love because she's definitely on the right track. So, in essence, like my agenda and my role, I've heard people say that have yet to read it, but they said your brothers and sisters in the East will have to save you. For those who've been reading the Circle 7 and understand what that means, I domicile in the East. So it's time to really take back our economic position by understanding how trade is done, because it's not about business, it's really about trade. What are you trading? And most people are trading their energy rather than products. If we can trade both products and energy, I think we would change the dynamic of our financial situation as a collective, and you would have less and less people defrauding each other, because it seems like our people are starving. Our people are hungry. And so it's easier to deceive our own than it is to go and sell and negotiate with the opposition, simply because we know our own people more than we know the audience outside. Because I know the Chinese, I can speak Chinese. 我会讲中文。如果你能听得到我说话，我可以帮你挣钱。So I said, if you are able to understand me, then I can help you make money. Just like that. And that capacity, your whole entire world will change. And so let me give you another example of progress, because I like to talk about the past when it comes to fashion. I enjoy fashion, but progress means that I'm planning a fashion show next year.
Can I interject something though before you move on?
Yes.
With regard to Jamila, of course I do know Jamila, Sister Jamila, and I do have her product here, and with yes, but not with the pretty label on it, but with the good product in, because you've been able to help her come up with, and that's what I have. But I think it was interesting that, and I think you shared with me that the distributor that she was getting whoever she was getting her bottles from previously, before she made the connect with you, after you made the connection for her to get her bottles directly from stores, now she's now a supplier to the person or to the company she was buying from, because she got a better. Yeah,
let me explain. So COVID-19 works two ways. Some people look at it as like liability, but for her, we were able to turn it around because she was buying the bottles and getting it mixed from these people. and she was ready to do the next order. They didn't have any bottles, and I was like, let me go look. So I found some bottles, and we're able to not only beat the price, but she's able to make an absorbent amount of room cushion for profit. She now can become the distributor for the laboratory that helps mix her product. So in the position of trusting me to find the product, I was able to not only give her the cheaper product, but I was able to take the idea and say, let's sell to them now, because you've been loyal to them and buying, but now they need your help, and you're in a position to help them. That's fulfilling a need, which is basically she have an opportunity to make money.
Now you created a second income stream for her as a
Yes,
supplier. Okay, which I think is
yes.
great. I'm great.
But
Yeah. So
one thing to
carry on
know.
with the. Okay.
So with Chinese people, they people in general, I would learn from the Chinese. They will not buy our product if our own people won't buy it. And it's just business 101. If you like it so much, your own friends should buy it. And we're not buying it just because, oh, she's my friend. No, we have to be better producers, and we need to understand our people's needs. So I had nappy dry here. After a month, I was like, man, I need to give me like three. I need this right now. So I like, I went and met her today. I was like, let me get a couple more. Even though I'm helping her, I'm like, let me buy this. So the point is that with
Now,
this process,
is it available on your is it at moorishspring.com?
yes, you can just go to the gift shop and it's there, and it has her story. It has the verbiage, the customer, why she doing it, and what it's used for, all that good stuff. And you can definitely reach out to her on Instagram at howtomama.com. Whether you buy it through me or through her, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I still make money by, and can you believe it? I save her money and I still make money. So I don't need to be like, I need to have all the money. It's me. No, it's a win-win situation. And I need to make the disclaimer to all the men out there. Um, Support your women. Like, a lot of this stuff that I hear, because I've been abroad for 8 years, and I'm surprised the amount of women that I speak that are really working hard, including you, Dr. G, that not enough men are really supporting you. You're doing lip service, but I've already met with Dr. G, and I told her like, hey, I do an interview, but I still want to donate. I want to help. I'm not just here to use your following to get noticed. No, it's really to educate and inform. And by the way, here's some donation. I spoke to Picola L, an amazing woman. She's out in I would say upper Lenapehoking territory, Iroquois, which is also known as New York. She's been a grinder, working really, really hard. And when she explained to me how everyone's taking her energy, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, you are the life of this Harlem Bronx area. I'm like, I'm even thankful. So immediately I started to contribute. We did a successful event in East Hartford, Connecticut, with Kali and his crew. And Piccola was the vizier. She was the supreme judge. That was we were operating a mock trial and a lawful court, an Article 3 court, a Moorish American jurisprudence. And she was creative when I was able to take the stress away in far as event organization. She's amazing. And then Cherie L, like she's really working with me. This upcoming, we have a mock trial event in Manhattan. She's laser focused on the foods, totally amazing in terms of understanding vegan, because we know that depending on your lower self, higher self, certain foods are good and not bad for me. And I'm learning, and it's really resourceful for me to be here because I couldn't get this in China. So me here, I'm soaking it all up, and the women are the special ingredients for those who don't know. But I don't just lip service. I put the money up. I'm the one who's paying the money. I'm the one I paid my last event. Everybody made money. Men, females, everybody contributed. The vendors who showed up made money. They were happy. Everybody was happy. Unfortunately, I had to fire some people that was lazy, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we only rewards for results, not for trying. So even the people that tried still made money off of me. And I want to duplicate that business model so people could take my idea and do mock trials across the country. That's so we can get into.
Do you provide the training? Are those events to train to the mock trial? Is it a training tool, or is it just putting it on so that those who attend can see what may happen in a so-called courtroom, or are there opportunities for folks to learn how to stand, on their square with regard to issues that may come up?
All of the above. Like I've came up with the initial idea, but evolved with the contribution and the comments from the women. So initially, I was thinking a de facto courtroom, so we can actually know how to stand out square. Because they're like, no. Let's operate as if we are the American jurisprudence. So I'm like, oh, great idea. So we both collaborated on the script. So the people reading the script are learning. The people who's organized it with me are learning. The people who are there making money are learning. And more importantly, we're coming together as a community and having a great time. So there's many multifaceted parts of this event where you have music, you have food, you have law, you have organization, and then more importantly, you have friendship. Because a lot of these people have never met each other and they have the same conflict. No one's putting the money up. So put your money up and you see things happening. And I had to sacrifice, and I was able to break even. I put up, let's just say that that economy that I created in East Hartford was about $2,500 spent. And so the DJ and the audio equipment made money, all the actors made money, all the vendors made money, the people that helped me collect the ticket made money, and then I was paying for the massive backwork with the web development and all that type of stuff. And then, of course, training, because I might know a lot, but like I told before, the individualistic thinking that gets me nowhere. So if I can bring in, maybe you might understand this. If you ever watched the Kung Fu movies back in the day, and you would see them do the lip syncing, like
the mouth goes after,
right? Yeah. But did you ever pay attention that whenever they get into a conflict, you have two Chinese guys, and he'll have his posse, and the other guy have their posse, and it's like 100 people and 100 people, and all of a sudden they all fight, right? Mm-hmm. That means that whenever you go into the business, any deal, any table, don't go by yourself, because you won't see things that they might catch. And so now I'm always talking about bringing an entourage with you at the negotiating table, because if you look at U.S. corporation and China, whenever they meet, you see the long table, and it'd be 10 of them on one side and 10 on the opposite side. And that's for a reason. It says, we the people. And so the Moors are starting to think this way when they come in my box that I've created, and I want it to be duplicated, which is why I make it private for those who are serious. You can't just watch for free and think you're going to go run away my idea and we don't know who you are. You're going to come because it's required that you can come, or live stream that you contributed to that energy that we're putting together, and you're going to get so much out of it. And I can tell you, you have a chance to look good and dress up and wear your Moorish garb. Do you know that people really want to wear Moorish garb and don't know where to wear it? Come to the mock trial. You can wear it, and that's how we bring it back into fashion, where we're into apparel. So I want people to go ahead.
Yeah. So you have another mock trial coming up where? I think you said in New York Territory, or where is that exactly?
This is in Manhattan.
Manhattan. So, what are the dates? What's the date?
It's on the 26th. The doors open. That's this Saturday.
Oh, this coming Saturday. So if someone wants to attend, do they need to go to your website? Do they need to? I just put a streaming again there if they're in that area, or can they just show up? Or
if they show up, they can go to the website to get the information about the site, like what is the mock trial. There's a definition on. They can go to moorishspring.com/mock trial. And you will see a replay if they want to watch the live stream of the last show that we had, which is $12. Or if they want to come, they can scroll down and they can buy tickets to attend in person, or they can actually live stream it as well. We'll have that section. The address should be posted today, but it is on 23rd Street. And it's a very nice professional setting, because the image is very important. One thing, I learned in fashion, and most people should know this, like your image on how you present yourself is so important. So I want to have a fashion show. Well, I'm going to have a fashion show. I've already planned the fashion show next year in May. Now I'm deciding what location to have it at. And the purpose of this fashion show is to give a platform or a venue for Moorish designers to come out and provide the people with clothes. So at this process, they're going to run into a problem, which most Moors, I always ask, if I say, hey, if I give you 100 customers today, can you fulfill 100 customers tomorrow? The answer most of the time is no. That's dealing with manufacturing capacity. They can probably manage two, three on a given week because they got a regular job. So where I step in is China is a good resource because they have fabric fairs. So you can then pay for some samples. I can send you samples and you can determine what mass production you have. We have people that work really cheap just for your line. And you can have pre-orders so people know you're going to get it done because I want to help you facilitate that process. And then you could wear it on the runway, and then that would be something that the whole country will see us flooded with Moorish garbs. Just like I did with Shanghai Black Fashion Week and American Fashion Show International, there were so much more designers that was inspired based on me creating a professional platform. And if you want to see examples of it, even beyond this, you can go on YouTube and you will YouTube my name, Jaleel-Hu L, and you will see a link, Jaleel-Hu L, formerly known as, and they had a Shanghai TV station interviewed me based on the work that I did. So you see like the professional setting. And later on next year, I will start releasing photos of what it looks like because I'm going to have model castings. Dr. G agreed that she's going to have held in her location. So if you are in the Delaware area or in that Philadelphia area,
Yeah.
drive on up,
Jersey, yeah.
and she's going to be a judge. So she'll critique. Oh, that's sexy. No, your walk is not so good. So we're going to have some fun with this, right? That's the best part. You got to have fun when you're making money. People are too serious. And I think that's the reason why we don't get a lot of business because we're either one way or the other and just simply not knowing where to get the business at.
Do you have pictures of that red jacket, the Morse jacket that you designed that you had on Saturday?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. How do I show it to you? So I can show it on the screen, right?
Yeah, you can take the other thing down.
Yeah, let me do that now. Yeah, this actually was designed by another Moor. I didn't design this one.
Okay,
but,
but you had it on Saturday.
Yeah. That jacket's fire. Like everybody loves that jacket. So just so you guys know, I do collaborate with Moors in China so we can offer a product that we know what we need to have. And then I'm part of the distribution process. So the great part about it is that it's manufactured by this brother. And so we even get a step even further to make it even cheaper. And then by the time it gets to the consumer, it's around the same price range as any other jacket. All right, give me 1 second while I find it.
Yeah, because I think now if there are designers that are maybe watching and they are saying, hey, well, I like you said you're going to have opportunities for Moorish designers to get their designs or clothes in a upcoming fashion show for 2021. How would they get in touch with you? Would it be the info at moorishspring.com, or would it be is there information right on the website at moorishspring.com?
It's not on the. I took it down from the website. They can email me, but let me just at least say what they need to be prepared to do, because we have a lot of novice. So if you're a T-shirt designer, you're probably not going to be able to afford walking on the runway. The compensation plan deals with a collaborative contribution, and so that means, just so you know, everybody's getting paid to be a part of the fashion show. You're not doing it and think you're going to be cheap in the business. So models need to be paid, makeup artists need to be paid, hairstylists need to be paid, the photographers need to be paid, the videographers need to be paid, the security person needs to be paid, the host needs to be paid, the entertainers, all these people are going to get paid. So because we will be advertising the designer has to be able to afford a good sizable portion of the show. So for me to keep the costs low, I'll add in more designers. So what does that mean? That means that if you really want people to wear your stuff, you should have something that's easy. It's harder to do than a t-shirt. Because all we got to do is buy a t-shirt, iron on the design, and there it is, done. So where is the special design? And I'm going to show you one of my designs that I've did from, and I could get to help you get the fabrics, whether you want it from Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco, or if you want it from Italy or Germany, or if you know specifically what you want. Now, if you don't know what you want, then I do have classes. I do teach people about the fashion industry, how to get in, because I was teaching designers how to be a designer by plugging in with real live designers or giving them access to the factories. You can fly to China. We'll walk you to some factories, some seamstress. You can see it yourself. Even if you want to attend the fair, the fabric fair, I can get you tickets, and then you could actually be exposed to manufacturers from all over the country. And these are the same fabrics that you would see. How do I say? You would see Louis Vuitton and Gap and Zara, what they would use, the same fabrics. So you're able to compete on the same quality level. And that's extremely important. So if you want to be involved, if you want to be the model, and I can teach you how to model because I did modeling classes. If you want to be a photographer, there's photographers that are out there who think they're professional photographers, but I always ask the question, show me your fashion show photography. And most of them have never done that because they've never been afforded the opportunity. So this will become a platform where they can actually gain experience and put on their resume, and that, which I hopefully they would do, so that therefore they can turn around and go get work from the other nationalities.
Speaking of teaching, there is a comment here from Rex Omar Khan, and I think you and I talked about this. He says, create a language academy for Moorish children and youth here at North America, teaching vulgar Latin, Spanish, and Mandarin Chinese. And, you know, we did talk about that. I asked you about that in one of our conversations about your willingness or ability to teach language, because, like you said, some of these little apps don't work. You didn't learn what app, and you said you had to do it another way. So has that been something that you've considered or would consider doing?
Yes, I actually, how do I say? I actually already have set up my Chinese. I would like to call them certified. I already vetted them. Chinese teachers that are waiting for me to tell them how many students they have. So if they want to they want to learn Chinese. The application will be put up tonight, but you can still email me and say, hey, I have an interest of learning Chinese. I strongly recommend it. I feel like I'm the only one who's fluent and being able to do back and forth and doing large business, but I need the help. So if you do it, I'll make sure that you get a good teacher. When I was studying within that 1 year, when I was mastering it, I had to fire 2 of the teachers, and simply because they were trying to minimize my ability to communicate on a very proficient way to make money. They prefer making money off of me rather than me going away. They no longer need me. And I learned extremely fast. So these teachers will be molded to have a specific curriculum that would help us say words like Moors, Moaran, or in the Chinese language, you would have a term they would call Meigor, and Meigor means May, it means pretty, Gor means country. They will associate that with the U.S. corporation. So when we're trying to separate ourselves at China, we're not trying to call ourselves U.S. citizens, so I can't use Meigor. So what we use, Bei Meizhou, which means North America. So I would say Bei Meizhou Moran. So North American Moor would resonate with, we're looking at the entire continent now as all ours versus the continental U.S., what they've been saying over and over and over again. To further add to, I wanted to break this up, and when you think about Chinese, the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan are all the same people. They like to separate it simply because the people in Hong Kong and Taiwan have been indoctrinated by the hybrid propaganda, being that they have access to YouTube. So when you talk to different Chinese people and they're not all the same, they're going to think differently based on where they're coming from. So if you meet someone whose English is really, really good, they would be called an ABC, American born Chinese. If you go to Chinatown, you're going to more likely see traditional characters, which is way more complicated than simplified characters. And those people are Hong Kongese or Taiwanese. They're not interested in working with us. You know who's interested in working with us? The
No.
mainland Chinese people. Because the mainland Chinese people are trying to make a name for themselves after being poor for 30 years, or a long time, but they've been poor since the 70s, and then all of a sudden they got economic power and they're now trying to show off. They're trying to flaunt. That's why you have the crazy rich Chinese people. Huh? What's the name of that? Crazy
Rich Asians.
Yeah, yeah. So that stems from them trying to keep up because they know that they're not as good at us and they don't want to say it, so they let their money speak for them. This is why they do it. Okay, so
you guys, yeah. Just before I pass it, Portia Talib El Bay says, "Can you do that for us who make jewelry?" I'm assuming like what you did for Sister Jamila or others. Can you work with jewelry designers the same way with fashion designers, clothing? Is that something that can be done? Sister wants to know.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because there's so many Moors currently in China that are already doing it based on my last show. So if I don't know how, I will connect you to a Moor that's over there doing it, and then you can develop that bridge because there needs to be multiple bridges. I cannot be the only bridge because if something happens to me, then the whole thing will stop, which I don't want to happen. So yeah.
Do you want me to add that to stream?
Can you see it?
Let me bring it up. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm just bringing it for. So we can see the jacket. Okay, there we go.
So this is the back. The front's very simple, but I have this in 3 colors: red, black, and white. And so we're gonna in the future. I know, Dr. G, you said you didn't like pink, but pink is coming out. So pink out there. The most popular one is the red one.
I like the red one.
You like the red one? Let me.
I like the front. Do you have a picture of the front because it's got the hands coming together?
I'm gonna show you now.
Yeah. Can we see the back front of it? Yeah.
In the meantime, too, like so you know what I mean by design. Like I've designed this jacket that I'm wearing here. I don't know if you can see it.
Well, you brought it. Yes.
Let me zoom in some more. Whoa, where are you going? That's not it.
Chinese language.
Yeah, so I've designed here the red one's coming out now. I've designed this jacket for myself when I was trying to put together a Moorish look, and then through the help of a brother out in China, we were able to put together the front here. If you can see the hand.
Yes, I love that.
And the back. So and like this,
sort of like a silky, lined. It's right. Correct. It's lined. Yeah. This is
and this is what I mean when you're doing production. Like you got to have a photo for the website so people could see what it looks like. Then you have models wearing it. So it requires a lot of meticulous pieces to put together a production that will end up on the runway. So anyone who gets involved will be taught all of this. And I've worked with places like FITM, Fashion Institute of Design in China. I've worked for, what's the other one? Raffle Institute, which is another fashion school. I was partnering with them. I did shows with them. So you have access to a lot of fashion opportunities when you work with me. If you're a makeup artist and you want to like get into lashes or mascara or any of these sort of things, you can get into that. Maybe you like, for example, Jamila is a part of the fashion industry because she's providing a hair product. So that's also extremely important. And then the other most important part is the marketing, because if no one's talking about you, you're not moving any products. So the videographers and the photographers that know how to attract a a magazine photo, so you can actually sell the product. So all of these things are encompassing when you actually subscribe to the fashion classes. So therefore, you will be respected not only by our people, but other people who want to be like you.
I think this jacket is going over. I think everybody wants this jacket. I think I think I don't want a pink one. I want a red one like that. I don't want a white one. Maybe a black one later, but the red one because I saw you with it on, so I know what that looks like. Is
This is
that?
the black one.
Oh, here's
I
the
could,
black. Okay, so it's a little. Okay, so there's the black one. All
hmm
right. So are these available at Moorish?
Moorishspring.com. Yeah.
Yeah, let me every time. So I mean, just um, yeah, moorishspring.com. So that's you see that running underneath. Is that also in the gift shop, or is there clothing section? I haven't actually been on there because I was supposed to go on because I want that jacket.
There,
People are asking how much it costs, but if you go to moorishspring.com, you'll see.
exactly.
You'll
Exactly.
see what it costs. So, but and I think a lot of people are going to see this are seeing this and they're going to see it afterwards, and you're probably going to be flooded with requests for this jacket. It's okay. I really like the jacket.
Let me give you another example for those who are into bags. Um, this is a bag that I gave Jamal. So if anybody knows Rise of the Moors, he's wearing this bag when I went 2 years ago. This was designed by a good friend of mine who's from what is known as Bahamas. So this is corkscrew, and then we have the bamboo on there on the top. So it's called Regal versus Real. And so he created it in China. And so we have
The
that much.
So the bag is made out of cork.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's bamboo where the like the reddish brownish color, that's bamboo.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's like a backpack. Or like is that a backpack?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I'm just giving people just some thinking so you can create something and then we work together. It's just be sure that you invest your money in education so you know where to spend. This is why I have the classes. And then after the class, we'll be on the same wavelength because you'll know what you need to do. I also teach a business plan course. People don't even know that they have to go survey the market to determine if this is a good business to get into or if it's oversaturated. Some people don't even think about if the market is ready for it. For example, it doesn't make sense to sell t-shirts in the winter, right?
Right.
So like these are the things that most people overlook, and this is all goes back into trade and commerce. So this is the fashion show is an illustration of what trade and commerce can materialize into, but it can be anything because I've supplied bottles to. I'm also getting into hair weave for the women. I'm going to get into electronics like cameras for the car in case the policy enforcement want to pull you over. Like all of these things, but I'm not sourcing it because I want to source it. I want to source it because somebody else sees the market and I can supply it. And therefore,
what about technology? What about people who are developing technology and I don't know, just things that'll software or anything that'll, we talked about, you talked about how they have a duplicated Silicon Valley
great
in
question.
yeah, what so supposed yeah.
Okay, so this is a very important topic. Um, People, like I mentioned about before, IP, they like to steal stuff. So they call it borrowing until you figure out and you ask for it back, right? So Silicon Valley was duplicated, excuse me, by Shenzhen. In Shenzhen, which is in South China, which is the southernmost city on the southeast coast, that they have a free trade zone area. So they've been investing so much money to develop the technology world. Because it's a separate jurisdiction and because it's something that you can't grab and touch, it's very sensitive. You have the whole world has been fighting China in terms of intellectual property. So they had
Absolutely.
to establish intellectual property courts. It's brand new. It just started last year. So if you're not hip to, um, if you're just getting started, it's your first product, I would slow down when dealing with China because they're a whole different animal, and they control their realm, meaning that you can't sell to a billion people unless you're a part of the system and know their rules. Anybody traveling abroad needs to know that you can't be American operating as American in somebody else's land, especially if they don't speak English. So they're waiting for you to show up to take your idea. So what I would strongly suggest is you patent your idea at China. Patent takes about 11 months in China. The amount of people there and the process that you have to take and the amount you have to pay takes about 11 months once you have patented. After patented, then we can begin to look at that time, is it ready for the market? Um, is the market ready for you? Because you might have a product that they might not need or they might not know how to use because the Chinese they're used to copying. If somebody has demonstrated that it's successful, they're going to copy it. That's how they work. So
So, what about the process, though? What risks are involved in the actual patent process? Because you've got to give certain information to the patent officials, and is there the possibility that one's ideal intellectual property could be stolen even during the patent process? Because you got to give them something. You can't just say I have an idea, I don't want to tell you what it is, but I want you to patent it, and then I'll tell you after you've made sure you're not going to steal it from me.
that's why we have that's why contracts are involved. So it's the attorney you work with must sign a contract, and this is what I can help because they know you know them, but I know some people that I already trust, and that's how the system works out there. It's all about referrals and who you know. So yes, you can trust someone given the fact that you sign a contract and you would have to have it adjudicated in a court of China. So that
Okay,
means,
got to have somebody over there.
yeah. So that's why, like, even the Europeans they've been losing out. Like, there's so many companies left China just because they will let them infiltrate their company and they just extract, and they're like, we're not making any money. The Chinese make money, and you leave. So it's a tricky situation, but it goes back again in how many people in your team is bilingual, how much money you're willing to put up. Because if you're being stupid cheap, then you're gonna get people who don't care about you and they're gonna do whatever. If you paid it, but you can't be paying too much money because then they could just be defrauding you too. It's a healthy balance, and then obviously it's time sensitive because that person that's doing it needs follow up. I can actually access the mainframe so you can take a look at what they're doing. You can hold them accountable. You can sue them, which it does happen. And where there are some cases that you do win in Chinese courts, like Germans are really good at winning against the Chinese because they follow the law to the T, like to the T. And Chinese people bend the rules all the time. So as long as you have documentation,
Yeah, and you can read and write
yeah,
Chinese, so that
yeah,
you can read the fine print and the big print and everything else, right?
yeah. I was before I came back, I was reading the Chinese law because that's is you know what's funny? When I was reading the Chinese law, you would see right in the language, no smoke screens, like natural person and artificial person, like right there. And I'm studying the Moorish content and looking at it from China, and I come into America. The what I'm able to see is the truth so much faster at China than I'm able to see it here.
Mm.
And I guess partially because they're not under occupation, and they teach civics in their classes at China, so they're very um, aware of law. They might not know American law, but they're aware of the importance of things in writing and contract. But
Mm.
it's so much easier to understand the U.S. statutes and codes based on the Chinese law. So I started to study that, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So I can help the brother that you was asking about in terms of the patent, but he just needs to know that it's going to take time, and he needs to invest some time coming to China so he can get a feel of what it's like. Because how he's viewing his information, he's getting it from a dirty lens, from the U.S. corporation and their perspective, what China looks like, and that's most of it is lies. Most of it,
Mm.
just like
Thank
how
you.
they talk about us, that they lie to us, and the Chinese people believe that lie. So we have to work harder to tell them the truth, but we're not denying it. We're admitting to the guilt, which is why they treat us a certain way.
Wow. Yeah. That's really, I mean, I think this is a really, it's great information, because there are a lot of us who are, creative and innovative and so forth. And you fear, the world becomes really small. You're trying to get it all around the world, but it never gets, out of your backyard unless you have the right connections and so forth. So, and then once you get it, even with me, with my little designs that I have, I've held on to them for dear life, because I'm like, if I let you print it, you next thing I know, it'll be everywhere. You know what I mean? How can I control that? But it's a risk you have to take.
No,
But
no,
there are
no, not necessarily. Like you still think of individuality. So like what I want Moors to do is not every Moor is going to have the money and be ready to start.
right,
However, you can collaborate, come together with an agreement, and say, hey, I know you need me for this. I'm good at maybe designing. You're good at this part. Let's bring our money together and come with a product, and we both sell it. So I'll give it. I met Bree L down in Delaware, and so she was selling. Let me give her a shout out too. She was selling the bug spray, right?
mm,
And it's
okay,
funny how her bug spray came in line with, guess what this looked like? Looks like that bottle with Jamila, right?
right, right,
So just turns out now they need the same product. So that cost is going to lower for both Jamila and Bree.
right.
And they'll still be able to sell their product. So I think what we have to do is kind of see where there's similarities. Like if you're selling a t-shirt, I'm selling a t-shirt. Why are we selling it separately? We can get more people if we collaborate. This is the power of numbers, right? So if
Right.
it's three of us, we can. You okay? You got California. Okay, you got Ohio. Okay, you got Florida. This, if you think about it, if you add all the Moors, it's 100 million Moors. 100 million Moors. There's enough people and customers for everybody. Before you even go to China, like there's enough customers here that people can think about, but you got to do the paperwork, like poor man's copyright. So if somebody does see it, you take them to court because you got the proof. That's when you get to start exercising your rights. If or on top of that, some of your own friends would be like, "Yo, your guy's copying you," because I've had people tell me that other people are copying. I'm like, okay, that's okay. But if it comes to a situation where it's like they're really eating to my profit because maybe I'm so small minded, I spend all this energy worrying about this guy rather than going, he's only making me more popular. So even the people that hate on me on China, they need to make a comment on this show, but they're making me more popular because you're getting a follower from China based on the haters. So it's only good. So any publicity is good publicity, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want people to
I know
understand.
they do it though. Yeah, I know they do it, because I remember there was a real popular I want to say it was I think it was a beach body exercise tape years ago. And I don't know what happened. Something happened to one of my DVDs. And so I go
Uh-huh.
online looking for, I don't want to spend again, whatever it was, 3 4 payments of 19.99 and whatever it was. And I find it, and from somebody in China, and it's the packaging, it's everything. It's just the outer packaging is just a regular sort of like plain box. But when you open up the thing, you had the exact same DVDs that I had paid a lot for. And I think I paid one payment of 19.99, and I got the same thing that was 4 payments of 19.99. But they were still, I guess, the same people that manufactured it for them was now selling it for a fraction of the cost.
Let me tell you one secret what the Chinese do. And this is why I don't recommend people use Alibaba. Not because I'm afraid of competition, but what they would do is they would take your idea, knowing that you can't come to China to take them to court. They're going to sell you the first batch. Now they have your batch. They're going to say, "Where do you want me to send it?" You are exposing their customer to them. Then in the package that where you're sending the customer, they'll slip in their contact. then it'll say we can offer it cheaper. Then that customer is going to go with the cheaper prices. Then you're wondering why your customer ain't buying from you anymore.
Mm.
So what we do with China is once I get it from the manufacturer, QC, quality control. Then you get it, then you can do quality control if you're going to resell it to somebody else, and therefore the customer is happy, but we maintain the respectful relationship of the distribution channel. The Chinese people will outbid you and undersource you and get your customer, and this is how they got so big.
Mm.
So keep that in mind. Like you're gonna go to Alibaba, they're gonna say a brother in Chicago was telling me he wanted Fez, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll get you Fez for $3." He's like, "Man, this price is gangster." He was like, "Okay, make the deposit. You got to order 100. Make a deposit." He was like, "Wait, first show me the Fez you talking about." It's like, well, he sent me these photos. He's like, "No, show me the real Fez." The guy couldn't show him the Fez, so he told me the information. I looked them up in the American address, and it had a photo of a building that looked like it was China. I'm like, wait a second. So I checked it up on the state of California if it's a registered entity, not registered. So I was like, fraud. Then I went to the Chinese side, looked at the business, see if it existed, fraud. So that person was trying to set him up, take his money and run. That is
Wow.
a common practice amongst Alibaba. I mean, I ain't hating on all the Chinese people, but if you're clueless on how international business, then who's at fault? You or them?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You're right. Um, but I think this is excellent information that you're sharing, not only from a standpoint of the business opportunities that exist and the opportunities for acquisition or import of your raw materials, so to speak, or some of the things that you need in order to do our business. Yeah, but
I
also,
want to talk about this book.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
So,
do that.
because of my fashion show work, I met a very good friend of mine. This is Tom. He wrote this book. He works for. He's a correspondent for the Chinese CCTV. So he was talking about the bridge, and if you see here, U.S. versus China from trade war to reciprocal deal. So this
Mhm.
is the highlight of why the whole world is waiting for the two largest GDP. He mentioned me in this book using my straw man name and how I was able to uplift the Chinese from not the Chinese, uplift the Africans in the Chinese economy, which connected to their One Belt, One Road initiative. I'm not sure if you heard that before.
I'm
One
not.
Belt, One Road, and they're trying to reestablish the Silk Road. You heard of
Ah,
Silk Road? That
yes.
is, so it coined the One Belt, One Road from the Silk Road, which is where they've been establishing trade routes all through the Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, through Turkey, getting into the Mediterranean Sea, and they didn't have the U.S. a part of it. So if you want to understand
Can you
how,
hold up so we can see what's by? Up a little higher. So, okay. Trying to see the name.
oh, let me see the name.
Thomas. Oh, Thomas W. Palkin the second. Okay.
You can go to moorishsprings.com and check in the Chinese Moorish relations. And you see an article when I met Kimberly Classic from Maryland, Baltimore. She's running in for the Congress
Oh,
seat.
basic. Yeah.
Yeah, I met her. He wrote that article, and he have a link to Amazon where you can get this book.
Okay.
So get this book because he's a great visioner, and he's like part hybrid, part Mexican. So we found some synergy. It finally convinced him to start calling us Moors. Now he's calling us Black or African American, but he has to use the word Moor. So which is good because they're paying attention to what I'm doing in China. So because of our collaboration, I'm trying to put Moors on the map in the Chinese scope. And what I need now is for everybody to get organized and get China ready. What I mean by China ready means I can teach you the Chinese customs. I can teach you how to do business with the Chinese so you can have Chinese customers. They're coming out here with a lot of fiat. The average Chinese person who lands in America, spend time for a week, spends $5,000 a day. I'm gonna say that again. $5,000 a day. If you don't have a Chinese customer, you're losing money. So who do they go to? They go to where the propaganda exists. They go to them. So by us coming together and these events that I'm establishing, they're seeing my mock trial in China. And they're watching me And because of that, I have some Chinese investors that want to meet me. So I want to be able to collaborate with Moors who are China ready, so we can be represented as a group, so we can have that conversation about treaty between Moorish Americans and the Chinese. And it can happen, but we need to be competent in business. I'm not about to introduce anybody who don't even know trade or don't even know business, because you're going to make me look bad, and then you're going to make everybody look bad.
So the United Republic of Morocco's contract law course is a good place to start.
Yes. Big shout out to Taj Sharif Bey, Abdullah, and Shem. That course is great.
And Tamara L.
Tamara L too. What I would recommend is all those who have different body politics and they're talking about it, is to, you can still have your tribe, but we need to come together to be able to establish a national vote so we can talk to the Chinese. The moment you do that, I can facilitate that relationship ties, and we can start doing real business, meaning like the import tax that we would be assessed when we receive product, that will be eliminated. But we have to kind of establish the conversation. And by me speaking Chinese and writing in Chinese, it'll be a great push for everyone.
I'm not want to mess the appellation up, because some of these names are, but the question is, how can a novice vet businesses or people?
How can a novice vet businesses or people?
Yeah.
In what way?
I'm assuming a novice business person, how can they vet the people that they are potentially going to do business with, or people that they, how
tell,
can they
tell them to show you results. Everybody talk. So when people see me, I'll speak to you in Chinese. That's proof. Then I'll show you my fashion shows. That's proof. And then I'll also give you testimonials of people who use my service. That's proof. So everybody else is doing lip service. They're gonna talk you to the moon, but they won't be able to deliver. If they're saying I'm trying to get there, at least they're being honest. But they need to then go into their experience. So if say they might have graduated at one of the European universities, and then they had intern, let them show you their resume, let them go back into the work experience and where they had successes for working for a company, and then have somebody vouch like they do on LinkedIn. They have somebody vouch for you. These are great ways to assess someone, because I had a lot of people talking a good game in China, but at the end of the day, I'll go, okay, that sounds great. So can you show me? And then they'll just disappear. Or they'll badmouth me because I asked to see proof.
Mm-hmm.
Or how do they say, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist?
That's what they say. That's one of the things they say. Wow. Yeah, this is a lot. This is great information. This is something that, particularly those who are thinking in terms of business, I think it expands the possibilities of what one could do.
I got to give a shout out to Adrian L. Adrian L was also a brother out in Connecticut with Kali, as well as I gotta give credit to everybody. Let me see here. I mentioned these people because they're all novice and they've trusted me. And so from Kali, Adrian, who is the assistant and director producer of the last mock trial, I already mentioned Picola. Already talked about Jamila. Who else is very important? I got to give credit to my good friend Nevlon, Mr. Flo. He's been also big, huge support what I've been doing. And I also want to give credit to you, because whether I met you for the first time a couple of days ago, but I felt like I met you before because I've been watching you. So the platform and the energy you put out for years. You said you've been doing House of Reawakening Minds since 2012, right?
No, A House of Reawakening Minds came about in 2011 after my 2010 switch.
Oh yeah. So that right there is, I would say, the basis for what I've witnessed. That Taj Sharif Bey, they come on your platform, and everybody else that been following him. I got to give credit to the foundation. So if you're listening, please give some donations to Dr. G. Just throw it at her, because she's holding on to. She's like the roots of all these branches that are coming out, right? Just at least throw some donations. It could be 5, could be 50, could be 100. to let her know, like at least for me coming out for China, that I appreciate her, whether it's 3,000, 5,000 miles away, or if it's just a couple hundred miles away, that the way we need to keep her going is that you need to show fiat, and it will come back. I've already experienced it. I'm easy to put out like flow, right? Giving it to the women in our community. I'm really pushing for matriarch society. So please donate and give to Dr. G. Hit her Cash App. If you want to tell them your Cash App, read at the bottom. At least do that for me.
It actually is scrolling right now, but it's not giving you. I don't need anyone really to give to me, but to support House of Reawakening Minds.
That's you. That's you. That's the artificial entity. We need a natural person. That's still you.
All right, whatever you said, right? And then look, Jamila says, "Oh, become a Quicksilver distributor." On thank you, my sister. We're doing what we're doing, and hopefully, like I said, even during this situation that we've been in, I think I've been able to get closer to the community, because I think in the past few years I've kind of been in the background, and you can hear my voice sometimes in the background with when Grand Sheik is teaching, or some of the others, when I was with Brother Abdullah, when we were down at the facility, but in the last 8 months, or not, since we've been in this quarantine sort of situation, and we've been doing it from here, at least I do Grand Sheiks from here, and it's been an experience of getting closer to the people, because I've come out from behind the camera to do office hours with Dr. G, which actually I have to give credit to a sister that invited me to be on her show, and with what is it, with this StreamYard, and I think it was very new to her, and we got on there, we tried to do it, and we couldn't figure it out, and so I said, let me download this darn app myself, and I ended up talking for like an hour and a half, like that, just sitting in front of the camera talking, and from then I said, you know what, I need to get back on and do something, and so in May, after having been off the air because I had my own blog talk show, in May we started office hours with Dr. G, and it has been successful. I give a shout out to Brother Hassan Ghazi El Bey for creating my theme song.
Nice.
Which, the lovely part about the wonderful part about the thing about the theme song is that I noticed that when I end the broadcast, right, and I play the music out, there may be the majority of the people are still on waiting, they just listening to the Dr. G. It's very catchy, but I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative for those who come week after week and listen to whomever I have, and the love that they give to my guests. And like I said, it's not always, everybody doesn't always agree with everybody, what everybody says on here, but that's, I think that's called freedom of speech, which is something that a lot of these platforms are trying to take away from us. And so let's not take it away from each other.
One last thing. I forgot to mention two very important people. Daimi Ali Bey in Shanghai, China. So ever since we had this division split with two different tribes in China now, we came together. We're like fire and ice. I'm water, he's fire. And we created Moorish American Allegiance. And this is specifically for people. Our cookie is, if you want to travel abroad and you want to know how to think while you're abroad and some of the challenges that you run into, we are the first, I would say, that the doers. So much kudos to Dime. He offers etymology classes. He has one coming up in October. He's an etymology expert. It's like up there with Abdullah. And the second one, he does lineage research. He found people's families research to the 1700s. He found a woman's estate where they housed over 200 families. I'm like, jeez. So if you are looking to find that tie, and he uses U.S. Census record to find the records, and it's like files to be this thick in terms of PDFs and downloads. He's an expert at it. So I would definitely reach out to him. You can either email me and I'll connect you with him. And because he's on the other side of the world, the time difference, we use WhatsApp to communicate. The last person I gotta give thanks to is my mother, my son, right? So she actually migrated from the corporate state of Trinidad and Tobago to here. And the more I got into this knowledge, the more the closer I became to her. And that's when she started releasing some of these knowledge about who I am and who we were as a family. And I got to make sure I put it out there in the energy and the spirit that go thank your mothers. You know, she's an amazing spirit. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, Mom, if you're watching. Love you, Mom.
Well, listen, I'm running your contact email. I think it's info@moorspring.com.
Mm-hmm.
Along the bottom, I want to give some shout outs as we sister Sister Deborah Smith. She's one of those. She and her husband have supported what I've done at the House of Reawakening Mind. When I was Apostle Gilliam, they were pastors in North Carolina, and
Uh-huh.
they when I woke up, uh, they woke up too and followed and have supported when no one else at the time was supporting. Every week, 100 notes they'd send every week to support the House of Reawakening Minds, and it seemed like
Awesome.
they did it as long as they could, and then something else would come and take up for a while, and then their thing was always, we want to pay that building off for you, and so she's on here on the right now. Since we were always fun, but I support them. I love them dearly, and you have to remember the ones that have remembered you and have never cast you aside. So
Let me show people. You see here, that's who that is. And look at the timestamp, people. That's today. So if you can join me and send in some fiat, I'm leading by example. So make sure you put that.
well, we I appreciate it. I'm not one to really ask. I just I'm doing because I'm doing because I'm led. You
I'm
know
a
what I mean?
businessman. So at the end of the day, dollars and cents add up. So I know that's how you're going to keep the lights on. So I need to make sure it's clear and there's no confusion when it comes to money. That's what our biggest arguments come in over money as a group. And
Right.
simply because we don't talk about expectations and we don't talk about how deliverance of deliverables. So when anybody does business with me, I just say, this is what I can do for you. This is how much I can pay for you. This is what we need to get done for the people. Can you meet your end of the bargain? And I would tell you right now, because I'm a Scorpio, if you do not meet your end of the bargain, that'll be the last time you're doing business with me. Because there's so many other people that need help. So do it right, or at least communicate that I need some help and we'll work together to get it done. But I've had people since I've been here since January where they would talk a good game and they not only let me down, but they let other people down. And so to set an example of no zero tolerance, if you work with a Chinese person and you drop the ball, they will not only discard you, they will discard your entire family and all your friends. So that's how serious it is to deliver. And I want to thank you, Dr. D, for being on time. I want to thank you for sending me the correspondence. She put a lot of work, y'all. Y'all don't know. She put in the email, putting the content. Y'all don't know. This is great business.
I wanted to bring. See if I could. I was trying to see if I could bring. I don't know if I can share this screen. Let me see if I can share. If I can share a screen, I was going to bring it up. Let's see. Application window, Chrome tab, new tab. I don't know how. I don't know how you do it. I'm trying to show this, but do you have? I wanted to show the picture of you actually on the stage, and I don't think I know how to do it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Share that. Is that up? Is
Oh
that
yeah, yeah. So I see it. Oh wow.
that's one of the fashion shows? I guess that is you at the ASI. I guess you were, was it opening or was that the closing of the one of your
Oh
fashion shows?
yeah, that's the opening. So if you notice that little thread and thimble, that's an F. So it's AFSI. That's a little
Okay.
fashion part, and then
Oh, okay. That's a sewing. Okay. All right.
yeah. I gotta give credit to that designer. Great stuff. This was in South China, and I was getting the crowd amped up, getting pumped up for a great show. So that the jacket and the shirt, I designed them both. We had the simple normal pants and then the shoes. So I wanted to show people that anything is possible.
Wow. And you weren't a designer before you went to China.
No, I studied at Shanghai Fashion Week, talking with designers. It's just the same thing that they did for me, my just observing and being in it. and I wasn't like pay me, pay me, pay me. I knew that the knowledge that being in the environment was plenty that allowed me the space to create my own space to do the same thing but add my touch to it. And that's what
Wow.
I offer to everybody that want to work with me.
Well, that's great. And I think, like I said, you can get in touch with our brother Jaleel. You can email him at info@moorishspring.com. Info@moorishspring, because some people, and what is that? Is
This
that
is
a
so you can put it on here. There's another brother I met in New York.
okay?
Yes, this can go on the jacket. So I just want
So
people to see.
if they have a product that you could help with the distribution, I'm
Yeah.
would say. So if you have a product or service, contact Brother Jaleel for assistance as to how that can be, how he can, incorporate, help you and incorporate that with what he's doing for Sister Jamila and the other sister and others. And I just want to say, some of you might have, I can't, you know what I mean? It's the poor, what they say, frog that doesn't praise its own pond. And I've been putting up, they always see me putting my silver thing up, but right now you've seen me put this quantum energy healing with Dr. G,
Mhm.
HTTP, DRG at limbicarc.com. I want you to check out my website. And if I
Oh,
want you to pay
nice.
attention to that. And actually, literally, I have stumbled upon an amazing healing, quantum healing application that I literally have on my cell phone, an app that has every vitamin, every mineral, every imponderable, like protection from 4G, 5G, microwaves, blue lights, any kind of herb, Chinese, American, any mineral, anything we need. This doctor has been able to put it in the cloud, and it's called Limbic Arc. And literally, you can give yourself a boost, and you can get healing. You can get I'm right now operating under prosperity and weight loss.
Oh,
Weight
okay. You're looking
prosperity.
good over there. Okay. All right.
But here's a funny thing. When I and sleep at night, because I hadn't been sleeping until I started doing this, but when I put prosperity on, the very next day I
Uh,
woke up, somebody called me and said, here, I got $50 for you for nothing. And I said, well, I said, can I have 100? And they said,
all
no,
right.
50. I said, well, I'm operating on the prosperity, so 50 is 50 more than I had. You don't know. And so I have had prosperity going on since about Saturday,
Okay.
or maybe Sunday. I think about 8 people have signed up this
Oh,
over the last
wow.
2 days for not this, but for the silver. That's
Nice.
prosperity.
Yes.
I had a pain in my back, and the person that signed me up for this initially,
Uh-huh.
you have to drink water. One of the things. He was in Khalifa territory, and I was
Okay.
here.
Okay.
And so he's like, drink water, and let me send you what's your pain on a level of, one scale of 1 to 10.
Uh-huh.
With 10. I said 7. He said, well, let's make it a 10. I drank the water. He sent me the boost.
Uh-huh.
And while we talked, literally, the pain that I go to the chiropractor for every week disappeared. I
Wow.
was I put the vision one on, and my eyes were burning when I put it on, and my eyes stopped burning within 2 minutes.
Wow.
So I told another friend about it, and I told her husband and another person in Quicksilver about it, and he said, my wife needs this. She's in pain. She signed up the same day and then told me, I said, well, how's it working, Dr. Rosie? Did you try it? She said, look, I had a headache that was so bad. It's been like a couple of days. I put the boost on for pain relief. She said, and it's gone.
Wow.
So you guys, this is deep, but I'm telling you, like I said, there's prosperity. I left prosperity on. You can only have 3 boosts at a time, so I got prosperity flowing. But I
Yes.
needed some physical healing, and I mean, I'm talking about every herb, every mineral, anything that you think of it's in here. And if you can get everything else in the quantum entanglement, then why not healing? Why do we have to physically take it? Why don't you? Because I said Reiki is energetic. Well,
Mm.
they figured out how to do it in this
Oh,
limited
wow.
art. So
Wow.
anybody that is curious at all about what's running across the screen, I have to do a show on it at some point. Just
Speaking of that, I wanted to bring up my good friend Kali in Flat River Place. We're doing a cooking show in October, and what we uncovered at the mock trial when I was looking for food, there were a lot of people that were planting, and if you know that we need to grow our own foods,
right.
so I came up with the idea that we should have a cooking show because if once you grow it, you need to know what you're doing with it. So October 18th is when we're going to have it. We're preparing now. Those who want to be a part of it, anything that's within the agriculture industry, because we want to supply food from Connecticut all the way down to Maryland, because we had people discuss like, man, we need that too. And it was an incident where a brother didn't want to go into the supermarket with a mask. Call the cops on him. I had to come there and try to figure out, all that unnecessary energy. We can just avoid it by growing our food, create a distribution. So that is coming. So
Is
if
it,
you,
is it live stream? Is it going to be live stream?
yes, this will be
Okay.
that you can sit in your kitchen with the stove top and copy us and everything, what we want you to do. But he's going to be putting the most of the grunt work. I'm just going to be facilitating because he watched me do the mock trial. Now I said, now you know how to do it. Let me assist you, and he's doing great. So expect a cooking show on the 18th of October. It's going to be advertised on our website, of course. But this is just another brother that's going to be coming to the mock trial in New York. And then if you want to meet him, you can meet him in person. So that way we can bring the energy and just back and forth until they start to expand. Hopefully you can come check us out.
Well, hopefully I can do that. Listen, this has been a great show. And I'm sure. Let me just look to see if there's any last minute comments. Anybody has anything? Maybe there's a question or a comment.
Okay.
1891. Here's one. This brother is inspiring. Let you show you my men's suit and the tie designs one day, brother Jaleel. Well, now you
bring it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You have his email here. Please. Yeah. Just reach out. Okay. Didn't know we need to support and donation help upload. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. I'm just going up and down the Deborah Smith says, Dr. G and Jaleel, this has been an amazing presentation. Thank you. Well, the person who's, I can't pronounce your appellation, you asked the email, the email is flowing right now. It's streaming. I like the Moabite Dr. G man sending, so keep it coming with something brand new, Dr. G. Master God Squad, are you telling me you want me to change it, or you like what I've got up there? I could put myself on the beach.
Okay.
Listen, that's the beauty of green screen. I could be on the beach, but did you notice I dressed up, you all? You know, I'm normally in a t-shirt and all of that, and I'm not gonna stand up, but I have a dress on, y'all.
Nice.
I figured I was interviewing the fashion mogul over here, and so I put a dress on and that I had never worn before, and I wanted to get a little fancy. I didn't want to get my t-shirt look. So anyway, we've gone over time, but it's a good thing.
Yes.
Jamila, thank you so much, my sister. Give Asa a hug for me. Yes. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for tuning in. Till next week or next time I come live. I'll probably come on and talk about silver or something, because I got a brand new piece of silver in a box that when I open it up, I have to take it out. I cannot figure out how to open up the box that has the silver in it, because it's called a gear shift. So I'm probably going to do a live silver show about, y'all, let me figure out how to open this 2-point. It looks like wheels, like a crank shift, and it comes with an Allen key. I'm like, I'm never going to get into the silver. Yeah, so, but that's probably what I'll do. But thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Shout outs, big up.
Thank you.
Shout outs, big up. Pronounce knowledge. Oh, knowledge. That's how you say okay. Knowledge, philosophic. How you say the last part? The appellation that I can't pronounce is pronounced knowledge. I wouldn't have known that.
Nice. I like it.
Knowledge philosophic. I got it.
Ah, nice.
LASAFIC and KNAHLIJ. Okay. Knowledge philosophic. So that you're an intellectual. Gotcha.
Like
Got
it. I like
I
it.
like that. I like, but you have to tell, just like me, people don't know how to say Naila. It's everything. Peace
Hmm.
and love to you. Thank you. We're gonna rock out
Yes,
with my
yes.
favorite song. And thank you again, Brother Jaleel, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Like I said, anyone that wants to get in touch with him, his email is running across the bottom. I'm gonna let it scroll out, and
Please
hey,
give me some time. I got an event this weekend, so I'll get to your emails.
okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And we're gonna leave on that.
Nice.
Yeah, peace. Dr. G. Really? Who's she? Yeah, that's me. 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 Dr. G. Really? Who's she? Yeah, that's me.